Welcome back to the Moms Interrupted podcast.
We're your hosts, Taylor and Natasha.
Between us, we're moms of two raising little ones with backgrounds in lactation counseling, childbirth education, and doula support.
But more than anything, we're two moms figuring it out in real time, just like you. So reheat your coffee, get comfy on the couch, and join us every Thursday morning.
This is Moms Interrupted. Hello, everyone.
Good morning. How are you today?
Second time postpartum. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but I tend to say yes to more things.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've done this before. I owe it to my friends.
You have a toddler, and so you have to do more things.
Yes.
Because you're like, we have to get out of the house. We're not just going to sit around and veg.
Right. I just got back from a wedding last week, and then I just got back from a trip yesterday, and then Friday I drive to a bachelorette with my baby.
I'm so exhausted for you.
I've never regretted any of it yet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I do think if it was my first time, I would be saying no to all of this for
Yeah.
the first 6 months, to be honest.
100%.
I don't know. This is a message to anyone first time postpartum. Don't feel like you have to say yes to everything. Lay down.
Literally say no.
Stop. Soak it in.
Lay down.
Because the second time is not as silent.
Very minimal laying.
Last night she fell asleep on me, so exhausted from the trip, and I have a good 5 episodes to catch up on Love Island. I've been specifically trying not to look at social media because I care a lot about these people. Like Melanie girl, leave sincere.
I'm sorry. His name should be
Insincere.
He took his name and then decided I'm going to run with the opposite.
It's so
On the note of Love
also
Island.
Anaya.
Oh,
My heart. Casey.
you know, the producers really did her dirty though by having her go last because she saw everybody
always
come.
do that.
I know it's on purpose and for the drama.
I don't think Zach's getting enough hate. It's like,
dude,
he's kind of lying.
Also, Kata is like
drop dead.
If I was a lesbian, like I would be knocking on her door.
So beautiful. Even in her, when she's upset, I'm like, your face.
When
oh
she's
my God.
crying, I'm like, and you're stunning.
Crazy.
Speaking of Love Island, though, I need it to end because I am not sleeping the appropriate amount anymore because I stay up late to watch it after my kids go to bed.
My other learning is I forgot how easy it is to travel with a baby.
Oh my gosh, it's a dream.
If you have a baby less than
9 months,
even under a year, go on all the plane rides. I just fed her the whole plane. She was just like
happy as a clam. Yeah. Under 10 months, there's a sweet spot. And then after 2.5, 3, it gets good again. But that middle, hot take, the 1-year-old age is hardest to travel with.
Yeah. And that's when I decided to go to the end of the earth, to Turkey.
I know.
With my son.
When you told me you were doing that, I was like, I could never.
It was chaos. We weren't giving him shows or anything yet.
Even if you did, he wouldn't sit
for 1 minute.
Yeah.
He didn't watch TV this whole trip. I bought him new gel pens and a drawing pad and he was so stoked.
So cute.
He was just passing them back to his cousin. They were sharing. It was really cute.
Hot take though. I get why people have a bunch of kids because they all entertain each other. Yeah. When your kids get a little bit older, I get why you're like, all right, we could have another baby.
Totally.
Cousins thing.
I know. So the
clutch.
cousins is something that I do not take for granted.
Right.
I don't think it's spoken about enough how clutch of a village cousins are.
Totally.
His girl cousin, who's 6.5, is a babysitter and wants to be a babysitter.
Yes. She's into it, little mama.
She's so into it.
Yeah. It's so funny. We talk about the village like every episode and like what is the village, but it's like the village doesn't exist anymore. So we just have to pay for it now.
Yeah.
So it's nannies and whatever, all of the different things.
Yeah.
But cousins, like last time we talked about friends, how friends are part of your village.
Yeah.
And cousins or family friends that have older kids.
Even your son is helpful with my son.
100%.
You know, he's like a responsible young adult. It is temperament too, because my sister's son is Kane's age.
Right.
And arguably unhelpful, maybe instigating shit. Dude, on this vacation, we look away for 2 seconds and both of them with my son are at the table pouring ketchup, salt, pepper, lemonade into a drink, soy sauce, and drinking it.
Oh my God.
And I heard someone at the table next to us go, there's a little too many kids here.
Stop.
But maybe don't go to a family.
People hate kids.
People hate
People
kids.
hate kids.
You don't realize how many people hate kids until you have kids and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
People really don't understand kids.
Oh, they just
or
don't
have
want
the patience.
They just don't want to be around them.
And haters.
And we see it all the time on Instagram with people's comments.
Oh.
We posted a video about the 1-year-old thing and like, are they 12 months? Are they 18 months? Whatever.
Yeah.
And multiple comments being like, I don't give a fuck how old your kid is. Like, tell me if they're 1 or if they're almost 2. We're asking to be nice, not because we care. And I'm like, okay, so like you hate kids and moms. Who hurt you?
Okay, one really funny temperament story, because I was thinking of temperament.
Yeah.
There was this really big dog on the ranch. We're all in our rooms and all of a sudden we're staring out and my sister goes, oh my God, there's a werewolf. In my head, I'm like, werewolves don't exist. But anyway, I'm like, oh my God, there's a werewolf. And I look out the window and it looks like a werewolf. I'm like, what is happening? Were we in Harry Potter right now? And then it comes a little closer and it's one of those really big, scraggly, they're giant. They look like Great Danes, but they're scraggly gray hair.
Oh, like a sheepdog?
This looked like a werewolf.
Okay.
It was scary.
Okay.
Anyway.
What I'm picturing in my mind is very strange.
Oh, I'll have to put a photo right here. And the oldest, the little ones, like, it's going to bite you. Werewolf is going to attack you. And this is such a prime example of children's temperament between my kid and my sister's kid. So the son of my sister goes, werewolf, and runs out to play with it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I'm going to get bit cool. My poor sister, bless her heart. My son crawls under the bed and goes, Mom, I'm gonna get bit by the werewolf. Bawling, like, where's my mama?
No.
My sister's
Survival
like,
instincts.
do you see how I live my life? Like, he wants to go to the werewolf.
Right.
And it was just such a classic example of temperament. Some kids want to get into trouble.
100%.
They saw a bear and he was yelling, bear, come here, bear. She's like, hello? No, run. Oh my God. Dude, bless her heart.
That's her third child, right?
Yeah. She was like, they say it gets easier.
Right.
She's like, it doesn't.
Right. People have all of these things that they say, like, oh, have the third, or oh, the second one is crazy. People love to make these sweeping statements.
Okay. What are we talking about today?
I don't know.
So we posted a carousel a long time ago about epidurals.
Yes.
And the cascade of interventions with childbirth education. You're educating a lot about, like, here's the different interventions. Here's the way natural birth occurs, why you might want to know those things, how to help ease pain, stuff like that. But it's not really spoken about enough outside, I believe, of childbirth education. All of the different risks that aren't necessarily listed under the intervention. So if you go to ACOG, it'll say, okay, here are the risks of an epidural, right? And it's pretty plain and clear. What's not spoken about is all of the different correlations, not necessarily what's been proven as causation in studies. So what I mean is, when you get an epidural, you are likely to have electronic fetal monitoring. You're more likely to move less and you're more likely to have IV fluids. So there's all these things that are correlated to epidurals, right? And those individual things have a different list of risks. So that is what is not spoken about enough, and is, in my opinion, the hidden risk of certain things. And that's what we call in birth education the cascade of interventions. And I think it's important to talk about, because a lot of people want epidurals these days. I mean, over 70 to 90%, depending on the hospital. Fair. It fucking hurts.
Right.
And I don't really see those numbers dropping per se. So the point of our conversation today is not like, oh, you should have an epidural or you shouldn't. It's like, if you want to avoid some of the risks that can be correlated to it, how do you do that? How do you have pain relief, but also expect the things that could happen during birth and navigate them?
You always say, if you're not informed, then you don't have a choice.
Yes.
If you go into it being like, I want the epidural, then you should be educated on what the risks and benefits are, and then know you're more likely to have XYZ happen if you get the epidural. And here are ways to lower your chances of risk. There's a cascade of things that it can affect. Not always, but it can affect. And you should be educated on what those things are, what the stats are.
The sliding scale of the amount of risk involved.
Right.
So that's what people don't realize is like, yeah, movement is limited, but how do you mitigate that and make it so that you are moving a little more than usual?
Because we know that gravity and position and movement makes birth go faster. So it makes sense when you get the epidural and you are not moving that you're more likely to have, failure to progress. Right. So these are all things that then it's like, okay, then we're pushing Pitocin. And then we're having C-sections. And it's like, none of those things are inherently bad. Oh, that's not what this is about. It's just about knowing X causes Y causes Z or correlates to. Well, because, and then being like, okay, well, I want to avoid XYZ if I can. So how can I sort of manage this? Making a choice. Like, I want the epidural. How do I manage the other things that can potentially come with it and lower my risks of those things happening? If I care and I don't want those things to happen. If you don't care, then this ain't for you. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Not.
Totally. The birth world is so much more complicated than like epidurals cause C-sections. It's just too hard to know. But there are clear studies that we do know,
And then there's also policy in hospitals that affect things too, So, I mean, you're the expert here, but I was reading about how you don't actually have to have electronic fetal monitoring, but it's hospital policy because of liability and litigation. So all of these things are in place because the hospital and the doctors have licenses and the hospital has to cover their ass too. ACOG says like you don't necessarily have to have it, but they're like, no, this is our policy. When you have the epidural, you have to have these things.
It's because it does complicate things because it can impact blood pressure and all these things. So they want to be extra careful, which I understand. They want to
control on their end what they can control, for not only your safety, but also be like, we did continuous electronic fetal monitoring. And with that information, we made the best decision that we could.
For sure.
So like
I had continuous electronic fetal monitoring with no epidural. And I did not want it. And it was hospital policy. Like Dr. Lee was like, look, I can't do anything about it. They're going to hook you up right when you get here. So get here as late as possible. And here is how you navigate it. For me, that was important. It might not be important for someone else. But also, how do you know if it's important to you if you don't know the studies on electronic fetal monitoring and how electronic fetal monitoring has been proven to increase your risk of cesareans. And that is clean data.
ACOG, it literally lists it. So
for low risk women, maybe this wouldn't be for you. Let's dive into it. And let's make it fun.
Okay, so the CDC says that 75% of mothers with singleton vaginal births in the United States use epidural or spinal anesthesia, which is basically the same thing. So if you're planning one, you're in the majority. But what I think is super interesting is that the rates globally are a lot lower, even in developed countries like Sweden and Ireland, like much lower than where we're at in the US. We talked about in our birth history episode how culture and societal norms drive changes in birth or affect people's choices, But I just think it's so interesting that we have such high rates here, even though in other places it's not the norm.
People
it's just not
look at you weird if you say you don't want one.
And it's
like
not,
you get judged.
It's not purely like
okay, you're better than thou.
Well,
it's like, don't get me started.
No, it's so crazy. Like you don't get an award. And it's like, okay.
Trust me, I did not think I was getting an award.
And look, as someone who was induced the first time and had the epidural and then the second time didn't make it, my plan was to get the epidural again and then didn't make it on time and didn't get an epidural. Like if I have a third, like, do I want to be in pain? No, but would I get the epidural again? Would I choose to get induced again if I didn't have to? No. Like, I don't know if I wouldn't
get an epidural but do it differently. You know what I mean?
Like, I wouldn't take it off the table.
Right.
I wouldn't say like there's no chance, but I would hire a doula.
Yeah.
And I would plan to not get it.
Yeah.
And then if something crazy happened, like I was in labor for a really long time and like I felt like I needed a break or something, like I would be open to getting it. Right. But like there was something about being more in control of my body that I was surprised that I liked, even though the pain was earth shattering.
I think that what is interesting about childbirth is that everyone has different fears about it.
Right.
Some people really fear the pain, which makes sense because it's excruciating. And for me, you know, I had other fears. I had a lot of fears about even just getting that epidural. I have a lot of fears surrounding medical stuff.
Right.
And
people are scared about rare complications with the epidural, like nerve damage and like shorter term pain.
Right.
Like my sister-in-law had back pain at the injection site for like 8 months after. There's things like that, and people don't like how big the needle is. I mean, and those are all valid things. And I think it's so interesting because people are like, oh, you're not going to win an award. And it's like, that's not it. Like, I'm not trying to prove anything.
Right.
It's like people just have different like risk aversions and they have different preferences.
And I think some people really do manage birth better with an epidural.
Yes.
And I think some people manage it better without.
Right.
I think sometimes the pain can be so overwhelming and the epidural can take kind of the edge off and make you relax more and open up. And I think for me, it would have made me, would have made me more freaked out and anxious and out of control.
Right.
So I think that knowing the type of person you are and knowing all the different things associated with it, like I think there's value in both. So I think everyone's different.
100%. And like, then there's, you know, you talk about other interventions like inductions or elective cesareans, right? And like, it's the same conversation, right? Knowing what risks you're willing to take to mitigate other things that you're anxious about, right? Like I know people who elected to have a C-section because the first birth that they have was really traumatic, and they're like, that to me is so not interesting. I just got the chills. So not interesting to even consider that I am fine with the risks of a cesarean because like I don't want to even touch that with a 10-foot pole. Right. And that is valid. Like it's not about talking about what's better or what's worse or what's XYZ. You know,
and then there's the flip side, you know, there's people who have emergency cesareans for their first. And then my midwife that I was going to use for this birth, her daughter had an emergency cesarean and then she had a vaginal home birth for her second. And it was like a reclaiming. It's reclaiming either way. You're reclaiming autonomy over your birth.
100%.
People really poo-poo birth education and birth plans. And they're like, oh, you're going against the hospital. You're going against OBs. You're going against this. And it's like, no, actually, we're just bringing back autonomy to women's bodies and choices. Right. And everyone should be able to choose what interventions they want. Right. Obviously, ones come up that are emergency, of course, but a lot are decisions. Right. And we're making decisions
along the way, right? Yes. Like you talk about the BRAIN acronym, right? Yeah. And that is so powerful because when you're in birth, someone asked a question like, how can a partner support you in labor and delivery? And it's like, they should be educated on your preferences. And like XYZ happens and they should be able to make the turn. So when you're mid contraction, you're like, hold on, let me think about what I care about right now. Like, no, your mind is on another planet. Your partner should be educated on what your preferences are so they can communicate to the staff.
For sure. You know what my preference was? For him to get away from me. It's so funny. I know myself so well. Like, can I just say that little pat on the back? Before my first birth, they teach you in these classes all these massage techniques and everything. And I looked at him and I was like, just so you know, I don't want you to do any of this. Right. 0%.
Don't touch my
midwife can do the counter pressure. And I was correct. I kicked him out the first time and he was like, great, I'll go get you a burrito. And then the second time we went into it being like, okay, I know what I want. He stood in the corner and was like, you're doing great.
Oh my God. I didn't even want my husband
I don't even want
to say anything.
I don't want to hear you. I don't want to see you.
Honestly, like, please just stay north. And
I think it depends, honestly, on an epidural.
For sure.
When
I had the epidural still, I was like,
totally.
And everyone's different, right? Some people are like, my husband is like my person. And I like in that sense,
I want him. I want him around.
But I don't want you to touch me.
Yes.
I want the nurses and the midwives and the OBs to like be the person like helping me with all those things.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, I'm sorry, but I need a woman to guide me. Like, not like you have other things that you're good at and I count on you for, right? This is not one of them. I don't want you to massage me.
Totally. You know what I was thinking about before this episode? I was thinking about how if I was like a first time mom and I was walking into the hospital and they were doing all the things that they do as routine and stuff to me, because my recent was a hospital birth, I would be so overwhelmed.
It's a lot.
And I would be so scared if I went into it not knowing anything, and I would be hands up, because it's a scary environment. If I'm being honest, I can see how the monitoring and the IVs and the pricks and the blood draws and the P tests and all these things while you're contracting and stuff, it's like makes you think something bad is coming the whole time.
So like for me, the first time knowing 0% about birth and just being like, YOLO, let's see what they do. They're the experts. I'm here to like just get out safe. I went into it feeling really safe.
Right.
Like,
well, that's what I mean is like different personalities.
Well, exactly.
Like to me, all that stuff made me feel like
more anxious.
I was at the hospital because something was wrong.
Right.
And something bad was about to happen.
Yes.
And for others, it's like that's a safety place because you're getting checked on all the time by experts.
Right.
And so it's so interesting. It's like, your personality really goes into birth. It does.
And like what your risk preferences are and like what you care about as far as like managing those risks. So it's just all about being educated on what all of the risks and benefits are, and then not listening to the outside noise and being like, okay, here's the risks and benefits.
Dude, not listening to outside noise was my number one for hospital unmedicated birth. If we know that relaxing opens up and progresses labor, like a hospital is probably the worst, but I'm going to go relax at a hospital.
Oh my God.
The stuff that goes down, all the people that are there, the bright lights. I have my blue light blocking glasses on and I was zoning out.
Yeah.
Zoning out.
Like you really have to try to be in a Zen state in a hospital when like people are poking you and IVing you and like,
totally.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, when we did the carousel, we basically modeled it like, if you want the epidural, here are the biggest things we would tell you to try to mitigate some of the other risks that can be associated.
So as a doula, childbirth educator, mom of two, natural birth guru, if I wanted the epidural, but I wanted to avoid risks, first of all, what are like the most common risks associated, or what's in the package that comes with the epidural, right? And what are the risks associated and what can it cause? And then what can I do to mitigate those risks in hopes to avoid any other interventions that might be correlated or caused by the epidural? Yeah.
So we talked about this a little at the beginning of the episode, but if you literally Google epidural risks, ACOG, there will be a list of pretty standard risks that are associated with it. And those are easy to find. So those are things like low blood pressure, which is why, continuous fetal monitoring occurs with the epidural.
And that's why you need IV fluids too, right?
IV fluids as well.
To manage that.
Yeah. And so low blood pressure, risk of fever. So again, you're monitored a little bit more. Loss of the ability to move. So we know through many, many studies that movement helps labor progress. So lack of movement would, cause a stall in labor, which is shown through studies.
Right.
Epidural is associated with a longer pushing phase. So that is clear in the data as well. And then there are very scary risks involved, but are very low probability that it would happen to you. And those are the things people are very afraid of, like nerve damage, stuff like that. So what isn't clear on the websites like ACOG are the risks that are correlated with epidurals. And those are what in birth education we like to call the cascade of interventions. So the best way to describe cascade of interventions is if you go into birth wanting an epidural, and that causes in turn low blood pressure and risk of fever, all of those things, you are more likely to get hooked up to electronic fetal monitoring. It is clear through data that electronic fetal monitoring does increase your risk of cesarean. So what ACOG and all these sites will not say is epidurals cause cesareans, but what they could say and should is that epidurals cause electronic fetal monitoring numbers to go up, and electronic fetal monitoring does increase your risk of cesareans.
Right.
So the point of this episode is to talk about the things that maybe you can't find.
When I was looking into this stuff and looking at the outline and things that you wrote, I thought it was so interesting. The reason why continuous electronic fetal monitoring was invented in the 1970s was to reduce cerebral palsy and perinatal death. But what the data shows is that it actually doesn't reduce the risks of those things.
Yeah.
But it does increase the risk of cesarean. So it's so interesting because that was the goal of this invention.
Right.
It's not doing that, and it's causing an increased risk of cesarean, which, like, if you don't care, then fine about cesarean. But just to know that you get the epidural, you have to be hooked up to continuous electronic fetal monitoring, and then that is not actually increasing like outcome risks for perinatal death and cerebral palsy, but it is increasing the risk of cesarean, which if you don't want that, then it's like, well,
which I would argue a lot of people don't. A lot of people go into birth saying, here's my birth plan. I would like an epidural and I want to avoid a cesarean.
Right.
So it is important to know all the things in between. You will not find one medical organization online that says the statement epidurals increase cesareans.
Because it's correlation.
They say it doesn't.
It's continuous electronic fetal monitoring. Is there organizations that say,
things, you know?
Right, because there's so many factors.
There's other factors, like maybe the epidural led to a slower labor, and then Pitocin was needed, and then, you know, there's
failure to progress. Like there's so many things. So they're not going to say X equals Y.
Correct.
Because it's like, well, XYZ happened along the way.
Right. Here's what medical orgs won't tell you.
Yeah.
But I will. There are ways to have an epidural and mitigate a lot of those other risks associated. So top ones that we mentioned, dosage and timing of when you receive the epidural.
Right. Because that affects the amount of fluid you get through an IV.
Right. When you arrive at the hospital, you can't really mitigate too much because you kind of become a guinea pig. Not gonna lie.
You have to follow hospital policy. There's certain things that you can have preferences about, and there's certain things where they're like, it's policy.
And again, it comes down to preference. Some people are like, I don't even want to feel the small contractions.
Sure.
Do your thing, girl.
Totally.
If your preference is to avoid a cesarean, I would say get to the hospital a little later.
Right, because it's just like, what do you care more about?
Yeah.
Do you care more about not feeling the pain earlier, or do you care more about the increased risk of getting a cesarean because you're hooked up longer?
Yeah, and as we know, birth gets gnarlier and gnarlier as you approach pushing.
Right.
So at the beginning, maybe you could go a little longer without it. Just about dosage and timing really quick. I don't think it's spoken about enough how timing and when you receive an epidural really changes everything in terms of the trajectory of where your birth is going to go. And the definition of active labor has literally changed since my mom was a childbirth educator. She was shooketh when I told her that now it's 6 centimeters instead of 4.
Right.
That is a big difference.
Big difference.
So a lot of the times it's shown that if you go through the steps of labor unmedicated until active labor, your birth will go more smoothly.
Yeah. And if you're waiting till 4 versus 6, that's a big difference.
It's a big difference. People don't realize that it's not just I want an epidural or I don't. You can request to have a baby epidural. You can request to not feel anything, and you can request, I want to feel little things. And can I just say really quick, you actually don't know how your body will react to an epidural. So we have friends where you need to have it in your mind. One, it might fail. And two, it might mean that you get more of an epidural.
Right.
And then your labor slowing down, and then you need Pitocin, because once you start interventions, ideally your baby is coming.
Right. The more time you have, the more interventions come. Typically,
because doctors are like, we need to get this baby out,
right?
Because so much is happening. The more you are getting interventions, the more risks that get associated with it. I mean, it's like how if they break your water and you're not progressing, you have really like 24 hours to get that baby out. Max.
When I had my epidural, they gave me, and I think this is typical, but they gave me a button. So I could control how much epidural I was getting.
Yeah.
Just to your point about dosage, you are in control of how much you are getting. So I think that that's interesting to just point out. Like, it's not just a shot of it, right? It's a continuous stream. So like, just understanding how that works.
Yeah.
The walking epidural, because it combines two different types of pain relief. Not all hospitals will do it. And also it increases the risk of abnormal fetal heart tones. This was on ACOG. You have to have continuous fetal monitoring, like no matter what, with that, because of the two different types of pain relief.
If you want to avoid other interventions associated with epidural, like electronic fetal monitoring and the risks that come with that, my hot thought is, people talk a lot about 511. You should go to the hospital when you feel like you can't walk anymore.
Yep.
And that is the tea.
And as someone who got a cervical check when I got to the hospital, I was crying through contractions at 6 centimeters. So like,
there you go.
I was in active labor.
Did you feel like it was manageable without the epidural before then?
It was very fast. So when I got in the car to go to the hospital, my contractions were 1 minute apart. No, I didn't feel like it was manageable.
Yeah.
But I also was planning to get the epidural, so I didn't have any tools or education around how to manage pain. Yes. I was just scream crying, what the fuck is happening to me?
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to have this baby and I need to get the epidural. And
totally.
When I got to the hospital, I was 6 centimeters. My water immediately broke and the baby was out 15 minutes later. Warning, that can happen.
I will say for first births, usually you can wait until 511 and it will be pretty manageable. But I do think what goes hand in hand with the timing suggestion is birth education and knowing how to manage that early labor without the epidural.
In my case, both my labors, I had prodromal labor for like 10 days, 2 weeks. And then with my second, when I went into labor naturally, as soon as I started having contractions, it was 511.
Yeah.
And then by the time I got someone to come to my house to watch my other kid, it was 111. Like
for the second birth.
Yeah. So like it, and that was like
second
within
birth
an hour.
Yeah.
Second birth is crazy.
Second birth, I heard a midwife saying the 511 or 311 actually doesn't apply.
Oh,
it's like when you're like, oh fuck, shit's happening.
That's how.
And it's so true.
It's so
for my second, I was like, when do I call the OB? And I said those words like, oh fuck, it's happening.
Yeah,
and then again, was at the hospital only 40 minutes before she came. I knew the second time.
And people are like, you'll know when you're labor. Like, no, you'll know. I was mooing like a cow on my kitchen floor. And my husband's like, we need to go. I couldn't even though get myself to be like, it's time to go. Like, I was just so not paying attention to like, we need to go to the hospital. Like, he was like, hello, like we need to leave, you know?
I should have videoed my second.
Oh,
because it's like,
I wish I had a video of mine.
I was so YOLO about it. Like my water broke and I'm just like, la da da. I was cleaning it up.
Oh yeah, at home.
It broke both times.
Right.
At home.
Dude, that's crazy because both times when my water broke, my kids were out after, like right after.
Yeah.
So some people like their water breaks and it's like 24
both
hours.
Of my births were the same.
Right. Your water breaks and then labor starts. When I was reading about continuous electronic fetal monitoring and like why it was invented and like what it is and what it's supposed to solve for and what the actual rates are, I thought it was so interesting that because in my head, right, EFM picks up a worrying heart rate, staff intervene, bad outcome avoided. But the problem is that there's a false positive rate because anytime there's worrying
heart tones.
Yes. Then it's picking up that pattern.
Yeah.
And then it's panic.
Yeah.
Whereas, like you said, it's normal for
Yeah.
there to be a variation.
Totally.
And it's proven that it's actually not improving outcomes. It's causing other intervention because we're worrying about a problem that might be wrong, but isn't necessarily wrong.
Yeah. So, during my second birth at a hospital, I was very interested about EFM because I didn't have it at all during my first. I had intermittent with a Doppler.
Yeah.
And during pushing, heart rate was changing, all this stuff. And my OB was saying out loud to nurses, okay, this is happening. It's dipping. Let's try a different position. But she is in the pushing phase. So this is normal.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come back. They were talking out loud about it.
Right.
And I needed EFM because of hospital policy. And that's why it matters who you have as a practitioner, because are they going along with hospital policy, or are they aware with it and doing it, but they know that maybe what's getting picked up on is normal and that a change of position could change all of it.
Right.
So I did change position and it was normal.
Right.
And I think about all the time, you know, baby's heart rate was dropping multiple times during my pushing phase.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have someone who was helping me get into different positions to change that, and instead it was panic mode, what would have happened?
Right. Well, you can see that in the numbers, right?
Yeah.
And I thought it was so interesting that the continuous EFM it's picking up on things. It's too much information and it's not improving the outcomes that it's supposed to improve.
So you can ask, instead of EFM, you can ask for intermittent fetal monitoring,
Probably.
but you might not be able to get it because of hospital policy. Right. So if all of these things matter to you, hire a doula.
Right.
The next one is about movement. So just make sure, even if you get an epidural, you can utilize things like a peanut ball. If you can't feel much from your lower half of your body, you can still have a doula or a partner help you rotate to each side, change positionings. You can even do hands and knees.
I was on hands and knees with my epidural and I could not feel my legs.
Yeah.
My nurses flipped me on over. And let me tell you.
So just advocate for yourself.
I'm not a small person.
Advocate for yourself. Move.
And when you think about it, evidence aside, just like rationally, logically, like makes sense. Gravity, right? So being upright is proven to help things move along. And usually when you get the epidural, you're on your back.
Yes.
And that just isn't logically what makes sense.
I mean, this is why I was psycho and was walking from the parking lot in active labor. And my husband was telling me I was psycho. It's because I knew my labor would progress like crazy. Right. And it did. It was crazy to see it happen though.
Yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden I was like, oh,
it's happening.
She's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, skin to skin. We're moving on and we are trying to mitigate risk associated with the epidural if you want to get it. So,
yes. And those things have more to do with birth, and this has more to do with immediate postpartum and breastfeeding.
Yes. But also the fever risk associated with the epidural, because skin to skin helps to regulate the baby's temperature.
Yes.
Skin to skin sounds like something that's like, whatever. Yeah, of course the baby's going to be on your chest and like, skin to skin, whatever. But I don't think people realize, and I don't think it's talked about enough, the actual benefits of skin to skin for both mom and baby. And people are like, yeah, we'll do that. Like, but it's so important for so many things.
It's magic.
It's literally magic, and it's free and easy. And we always talk about how those are the things that get overlooked because it's just too easy. And you're like, yeah, I'll do that. But like, whatever, it's not that important because it doesn't have a price tag on it. We know that the epidural has short-term effects on the baby after delivery, like sleepiness and inflated birth weight, drowsiness, potential latch difficulties, breastfeeding. So skin to skin helps mitigate all those things. And I know you said in the past, it really helps with decreased postpartum hemorrhage risk.
Right. Yeah, because the sucking helps with the postpartum contraction, which helps shrink the uterus.
Yes. So we know that skin to skin helps with breastfeeding because it helps with body temperature regulation, stabilize glucose levels.
Yes.
It is one of the most powerful tools that people just like take for granted and are like, yeah, we'll do that, but like don't actually place importance. So someone asked, what can my husband or partner do in labor and delivery to support and help? And he should be in charge of making sure that we have immediate skin to skin after the baby comes out, of course, as long as medically possible.
Right.
But like even with a cesarean, obviously a lot of things are happening, but you can still request immediate skin to skin. Like you can get the baby on your chest after a cesarean. And a lot of people think that you can't, they have to go to the warmer. You can make that a preference. And your partner, they don't have to just be standing in the corner in awe, being like, whoa, what just happened? And taking pictures. They should be in charge of facilitating and prioritizing immediate skin to skin for both the mom and the baby, because it is so important. And it's not just a woo woo thing. It is evidence-based.
Yes. My cord was really tight and really short for both of my kids. And so my skin to skin was on my lower tummy. Did you know that?
Stop, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
because I requested them to not cut it until later.
Yeah.
But it was hard for me to do skin to skin on the chest because my cords were so short both times. Yeah.
Short cord lady.
Short cord lady, and always a nuchal cord wrapped around neck multiple times.
Really?
So it was extra tight coming out.
Wow.
It's very weird.
Weird.
Cords are weird.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Yeah.
All that stuff freaks me out. Okay.
Let's do IV fluids. So if we wanted to avoid the cascade of interventions, we talked about dosage and timing, movement, immediate skin to skin, and now going into IV fluids. IV fluids are associated with epidurals.
Right. You have to get it.
You have to get it. Yeah. What a lot of people don't talk about is that IV fluids are associated with some lactation issues that can occur.
Right. So someone asked, do any of these medications or things in labor and delivery affect milk supply and breastfeeding? And the answer is yes, in the short term, but we know that immediately after birth matters for breastfeeding success, right? So not only does IV fluid conflate newborn weight, but the baby is going to start peeing all that IV fluid out, right? And then all of a sudden, when we hit 7 to 10% weight loss, the hospital policy says we need to start paying attention to this and worry about supplementation.
Right.
Now, once you surpass that 10% weight loss, you might have less of a choice in supplementing or not. And some more progressive hospitals factor the IV fluids into the weight loss.
Right.
But make sure you're talking to someone in lactation, because they can help advocate for you in your supplementing if it's medically indicated.
Yeah.
And if you care whether you're supplementing with formula if you have to, or if you're supplementing with your own colostrum.
Yeah.
The other issue that we see with IV fluids that I feel like nobody talks about is all that extra fluid is going to go to places that hang: breasts, hands, feet. So you're going to see swelling in your own body, and it makes sense that you're going to see swelling in your baby too, right?
Yeah.
And you got to pee that out. The thing with the breast is that you already have a lot of extra blood, lymph, milk is coming in. So swelling. And the tighter the skin is, the more the nipple pulls, the harder it is for that baby who already has a very small, tiny, tight mouth to latch on. So here's another factor in the epidural. Now, it's not specifically the epidural. The epidural has more to do with the baby's sleepiness and alertness. Right. But skin to skin can help mitigate those things and help them with early feeding.
And isn't it 90% or something? Very high percentage of births use IV fluids.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
That's a hospital policy thing.
I didn't, but
you had the saline lock.
I had the saline
for
lock
an emergency.
in case.
Right.
Correct.
Something that you can do to mitigate, right? Start your epidural and your IV fluids later, right? So wait to go to the hospital and wait to get your epidural and your IVs until as late as possible. And then also reverse pressure softening, which is like a very gentle massage. I should have brought my model boob, but it's basically moving that lymph and extra fluid out of the breast and towards the lymph. You can look up videos on how to do it. Kelly Mom and YouTube and all of these resources have videos and diagrams, and I can post one, but it's not hard massage. Do not injure yourself, but just
ask lactation there.
Yes, ask lactation to help you. But people think like, oh my God, my milk is just like swelling my breast.
Right.
And these things happen at the same time, right? The milk is flooding in, there's blood, there's lymph, but also the IV fluid goes to places that hang.
Yep.
So that can make early feeding more difficult, early latching more difficult. And we know that when it's more difficult in the beginning, people are less likely to continue. So when you think about how to avoid risks with breastfeeding and milk supply, supplementation affects long-term breastfeeding. So we just want to avoid the risks that we can and control and manage the things that matter to us.
Yep.
So just to wrap it up, This is all about informed consent and education.
Yes.
It's not telling you what's right for you. It's not telling you what's better or worse. That is a decision you have to make on your own. We don't care what your birth is as long as you're happy with it.
All I care about is that you're choosing something that you want.
Exactly. And you're informed so that you can make a choice.
Yeah.
And
birth, there is no right or wrong. There is no better birth. All births are deeply, deeply powerful and transformational and crazy.
Yeah.
And the only thing that makes it a better birth in my eyes is informed consent and that you're being told what is happening to you instead of it just happening.
Yes.
Amen, sister.
So that's that on birth, the cascade of interventions.
We're ending with a hot hitting question from the community.
Okay, so she asked, how many people get told that their baby is huge and they have to get induced early, and then the baby comes out and is like 6 pounds? And just anecdotally, I know two people off the top of my head that were told at 37 weeks their baby's huge, they need to be induced.
What about you saying your baby had a abnormally small head?
Oh my God. I forgot about myself, but literally
I forgot about myself.
I was like, who else do I know?
You literally had to get extra ultrasounds and you were like, my baby's head is super small.
I had to see a specialist. They were like, your baby's head is less than 1 percentile.
I'm only laughing because that wasn't the case. It was born totally normal.
They were asking me if I had been exposed to Zika.
We're stressed.
Oh, I was so stressed. I was like,
for you.
Maybe. So my OB was amazing. And she was like, look, I'm not worried about it because there's like a 15% margin of error.
Either way.
When it comes to measurements towards the end of pregnancy. So weight and measurements in general.
But not all OBs tell you that.
Yeah. So there's all these people who are out because they got induced. They're like, my baby's 10 pounds. So like, for example, I did the math here just on the weight thing. So if you have an 8-pound, 8-ounce baby, your baby could be, based off of the margin of error either way on these measurements, 7 pounds, 4 ounces or over 10 pounds. That's the range. That's a huge range.
It's wild, wild west out here with the ultrasound.
And they're like, you got to induce early. That baby's huge. The baby could be 7 pounds, like, which is a totally average sized baby.
What is up with the fear mongering on weight based on ultrasounds that have 15% margin of error either way? Can we calm down? I have a friend who just called me recently and was like, oh my God, my baby's already 6 pounds. They're nervous because she's only like 25 weeks or something. And I was in my head because I try not to bring my childbirth education pitchforks out while I'm talking to friends.
Right. Which is really hard. Really hard. In lactation too.
Yeah.
I'm like,
but in my head, I was like, they don't know.
Right.
False.
I think it's past 20 something weeks where the range is too big to actually make any meaningful decisions based off of that.
The amount I get told this by friends does concern me.
Right.
Because I'm like, what's happening here?
Our friend went in when she was 37 weeks and they were like, the baby's 9 pounds. I'm sorry, her baby was not even 7 pounds.
We have to stop. Can we stop? I am calling all medical professionals. I want to know what's happening.
I know.
Am I missing something? Like my friend was like, my OB is telling me I should have a cesarean because my baby's so big. Her baby was like 8 pounds.
Right.
And she had a unmedicated vaginal birth.
Right.
So I'm just trying to understand.
Like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we know that just because your baby's big doesn't mean that you need a cesarean?
That's a whole nother.
I mean, yes, sometimes, right?
Right.
Like, but don't we know that that's not a cause to have a cesarean unless it's an emergency?
Yeah. I feel like the whole your baby's so big thing was like a 1950s thing. It's like, and it's still getting
thrown around.
Yeah. So just so you know, don't panic if you are told your baby is too big to come out the badge.
By the way, in addition, my first, they were like, his head is 95%. And if your baby's head is measuring over 95% right before your due date, we recommend cesarean. And I was like, okay, well, like, we'll see.
How was his head?
45th percentile when he was born. And these
are what's happening?
These were like 2 weeks apart, like when they measured and they were like, his head is so big. And then when I gave birth.
Yeah. What's so funny is midwives not once gave me any piece of information as to
weight or the size.
Yes.
Right.
The only thing they cared about is that my belly was measuring by the correct week.
Right.
And was growing.
Right.
Otherwise, they were like, your baby's coming out. God knows what weight and God knows what, I don't know.
Right.
So I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
I never once was told how big my baby was.
When weren't your babies like 7.5 pounds.
Like exactly average.
Yeah.
I did not feel average. Felt large and in charge.
Don't even get me started on feeling average. I felt the max.
I was unwell at 40 weeks. And I was like, this child is going to be 17 pounds, 7 pounds, 5 ounces. I was like, no way. So all that weight I gained was me? No, you're lying.
Liars! That Khloe Kardashian meme. Liar!
It's like, so out of the 50 pounds I gained, my baby was 7 pounds, 5 ounces.
I remember telling my mom that and crying over how fat I was getting, and her being like, you have so much extra blood when you're pregnant. It's not your fault. It's not true. Weight. She was like, it's all that extra blood. And I was like, I don't know. I'm so fat.
Okay, the whole 25 to 50 pound range.
25 to 35.
Oh my God. Where did that come from? Who made that up?
Okay, here's the crazy thing. My grandma told me that when she was pregnant, the recommendation was 20 pounds. And she had to work so hard to gain only 20 pounds. And come to find out, they made that recommendation because they were worried about women being able to lose the weight after they gave birth.
Wow.
For husband satisfaction.
Keep submitting some mom talks. We want to bring on more birth stories. So we're somehow going to do that in the future. We want to hear your birth stories.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. But love you guys.
Love you. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for hanging out with us today on the couch.
If you love this episode, and we know you did, make sure to follow Moms Interrupted on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube so you never miss an episode.
And if you have 2 seconds, rate us 5 stars. It helps more moms find the show.
And helps us keep growing this thing without charging moms.
Yay for moms! Share this episode with a friend, your group chat, or any mom who needs it.
We'll see you next Thursday on the couch.